Okay, this is Okami analysis number 14, Itegami. This is the final video we'll be doing on the classical Japanese in Okami. If you don't know what I'm doing here, if you're new here, basically I'm analyzing the classical Japanese in games and anime, hopefully in the future, just to kind of like give you guys, just to kind of help educate you guys in case there are those of you out there who really want to learn classical Japanese, although some of these rules do apply to regular Japanese, so maybe you can gain something from it there. And because the Okami sequel is slated to come out in the future sometime, I wanted to go through these and do Okami in preparation for that. Anyways, this one's a little bit longer because it's the final one, so let's just get on with it. Let's waste zero time getting into it, okay? So, Okami Analysis 14, Itegami. Let's go. Okay. He is the ox, which was number 2 in the Chinese zodiac in the little story. He's the one who gets second place in the big race. Okay. So here is the first bit, okay? So we're going to go through really quick, okay? So Itegami comes a combination of ite and gami. Ite is the root verb. It's a verb normally. Itsu in or in classical Japanese and modern Japanese, iteru, it means to freeze, okay? And then gami comes from kami, which means God, so freeze God, the God of freezing, okay? O warera ga jibo amaterasu o mikami. Our compassionate mother, Amaterasu o Mikami. If you want a breakdown of this opening bit, I do that in every previous video, so please go check those out if you want to know more. I'm just going to move on. Okay, here we go. So, o moto ga. So, o is an honorific thing. Moto means like to allow, or it means a presence, I guess you could say. A place. Okay, omoto is honorific place, honorific allowance, okay, because you are allowed, when you're speaking to a noble, you are allowed into their presence to speak to them when you want to meet them. So omoto is honorific presence, and it ended up becoming basically an honorific second person pronoun, an honorific you, okay. So you, ga, is the subject. It's a subject particle, I believe, although it could possibly be possessive depending on the situation. It works either or in this case. Then we have kakan, okay? Kakan is a Chinese loanword. I do believe it is actually a noun. It could be like a noun adjective type of a thing going on, but ka means fruit, okay? It means fruit, but more abstractly it can mean like result. And then kan means like brave, hardy, stout, like brave, okay? So kakan just means like supreme bravery, okay? The ultimate bravery, the results of your bravery, okay? The fruit of one's bravery. Kakan naku nari tamaishi, okay? Naku comes from the I don't know if technically it's a verb. I think it functions more like an adjective. Nashi. Okay, classical Japanese nashi, although we do still see nashi in modern Japanese a lot too. But nashi means to not exist, to not be. However, we go from nashi, which is the ending form, to naku, which is the adverbial form, I believe. It means that it will modify a following verb. So naku, nari. Nari is a verb that means to be, okay? So naku means to not in a manner of non-existing, nari, to be, in a manner of being, in a manner of not being. It's a little weird, but naku nari basically just means to go away, to disappear. Okay? However, nari, the thing about nari is its end form is nari, and its attributive form, not in this case, not attributive form. It is the soft connective form, the renyoke, also ends in nari. It's the same in both, okay? And the reason why we have it in the soft connective form is because we're sticking this tamaishi on the end of it. Tamaishi comes from the root verb tamo, which means for a superior to bestow on an inferior. And then it's followed by shi, which is the... I gotta remember these words. It is the attributive form of the auxiliary verb ki, which is a past tense. Basically, it's a past tense. I won't go into it any deeper than that. Because the auxiliary verb is ki, which is the ending form, the normal form, I guess you could say. Ki, however, but when we want to turn it into the attributive form, which means that we are going to be using this verb to describe a following noun, we go from ki, we put it in shi, okay? So, kakan naku nari tamai shi, toki. Now, toki is a noun that means time. So, the time when you honorifically lost your bravery, your power, I guess you could say. Omoto ga, omoto ga kakan nakunari tamaishi toki. When you honorifically lost your grand power, okay? And then yori is a particle that means from or since, okay? So from the time that you lost your power, kono reiho ni, okay? Kono means this. Modern Japanese, classical Japanese, it means the same. It just means this. This, reiho. This is a Chinese loan word. Rei means spirit. Ho means like summit of a mountain, the peak of a mountain, okay? So kono reiho is like this sacred, the spiritual peak, okay? Ni is a prepositional particle. It means to, in, at, by, on. It means, it's preposition. It involves positioning, okay? Where things are in relation in time and space, okay? In this instance, I would probably translate it into English as on or possibly in. So in this spiritual peak, on this spiritual peak, mi o yosei tsuru, okay? Mi means myself, my body, my personage, okay? It's just regular Japanese. And then o is the object particle. It means that me, myself, my person, or in this case, since the Itegami is talking, he's talking about himself, okay? So his person will be receiving the action of yosei tsuru, okay? This comes from the root verb yosu, which means to bring close to put toward, or bring close to, make approach, okay? However, we go from yosu to yose, which is the soft connective form. Yes, it's a soft connective form. Yes, a soft connective form, so we can add this tsuru on the end of it. Now, tsuru comes from the root auxiliary verb tsu, which is like a completed thing. It's like a completed, but it's also an intentionally completing kind of a thing. It means I did this thing completely. However, we go from yosetsu to yosetsuru because this is the auxiliary form, not the auxiliary form, the attributive form. Sorry, I'm getting my A words mixed up. The attributive form of this verb, asetsu, yosetsuru, and then you're supposed to follow it with a noun, but there is no noun because the noun is actually implied here. Normally, you would think like a toki, like we have up here, or you would think like a koto, which just means a thing, and it's a way you can take verbs and turn them into nouns, like how we say play and playing. I like playing video games. It's not I like play games. You say I like playing. I like the act. I like the noun of playing video games, okay? So, mi o yosetsuru o. And then this o, it technically, where was it? It's the same as this o that we have here. It's an object marker. However, basically this o, the way it's being used here is kind of just like a catch-all statement saying that we are continuing. We're not done with the sentence here. We're continuing on, okay? That there's more to this idea that there's going to be expounded upon further. Just, keep that in mind is basically what he's saying with this o here. So moving on. Okay, ashiki mono ni toraerare. Okay, ashiki comes from the root adjective ashi, which means evil, bad. However, we put it in the attributive form because it is going to be describing a noun, which is mono, which means a person or a thing. A person usually, it means a thing, but it means something. It's more of a humanized thing. It's not like a dumb object. It's like an actual moving, living thing, okay? So ashiki mono means evil beings, evil people, evil things, okay? And then ni, there's that prepositional particle ni means at, in, by. In this instance, it's probably by because the following verb is in the passive form, toraeru, torau, toraerare. What is the root verb here? Toraeru, I think is what the root form is in classical Japanese. Toraeru. Then we go from toraeru, which is the regular ending form, but we need to put it in the passive form, so we go from toraeru to toraerare, which is it is technically the soft connective form of the not yet complete hold on. This is a little complicated. Tora, I think it is tora o, okay? I don't know, actually, now that I think about it. I can't remember how this breaks down. But it means it is it is a soft connective form of the passive form of toraeru, okay? In modern Japanese, toraeru. What is it in classical Japanese? I don't remember. I think it might be the same. Or in classical Japanese, it might be torau, toro, basically. I don't know. But it is be taken by, be captured by, okay? Be captured by the evil beings. However, it's in the soft connective form, which means that we're continuing with the sentence. We're not done here with the idea. Being captured by the evil beings, and kokoro narazumo. Kokoro means it means heart was the most common way to translate this word into English. However, it kind of means my feelings, my will, my intention. It's that consciousness part of you. It's that thing that feels, that thinks, okay? And then we have kokoro, which means think, feel, that part of me, my mind, my spirit. Narazu, okay? Narazu is the negative form of the verb nari, okay? So we go from nari, which is the ending form, nari is the regular ending form, to nara, which is the incomplete form, the mizenke, the incomplete form. And the reason why we put it in the incomplete form is because that's what, when you stick a zu, which that is here, when you stick a zu on the end of it, that turns it negative, okay? So kokoro narazu means not being, and nari means to be, right? So not being my intention, not being my feeling, not being my heart, not being my mind, okay? Which means unexpectedly or against my will, okay? And then this mo just means like even, kind of means like even though. Kokoro narazu mo, even though it was against my will. Gekai o kegashitari keri, okay? Gekai is a Chinese loan word. Ge means below. Kai means border, but more in this case it means world. So Gekai is like the lower world. It is the world that we live in. It is the world below the heavens. It is the Jinkai, I think is another way that we see it in Okami videos. It is the lower world, okay? It's our world, okay? And here's that o, the object particle o. Kegashitari keri. This comes from the root verb kegasu, which means to defile, to make dirty, to make filthy. However, we go from kegasu, which is the ending form, to kegashi, which is a soft connective form, so we can stick the tari on the end of it. Tari is the auxiliary verb that means to do something repeatedly or to do something completely, okay? There's like 3 ways of doing completion. There is tsu, nu, and tari. However, tari, like nari, and tari, both, they have their ending form and their soft connective form ends in ri. So tari can either be like the end, that could be technically be the end of the sentence. However, it could also be the soft connective form, which in this case it is because we have this keri on the end of it. Keri is a past tense, but it's like a past recollective. It's a past recollective, so it's I'm remembering things that happened, right? It's not that this happened recently, it's that, oh, yeah, that thing, that happened a while ago. And it has a certain level of like oddness, it has a certain level of like emotional weight to it. You see it a lot in poetry because it has that emotional extra meaning to it. So gekai, kokoro narazu mo gekai o kegashitari keri. So despite being unwilling, I defiled the lower world. I defiled the regular world. Okay, sasame yuki. Sasame yuki is just a regular Japanese word. It means like the very slight snow. It's a very beautiful, it's a very poetic phrase. Sasame yuki is just like very fine, powdery snow. Furitsimoru hodo no. Okay, so furitsimoru is a combination of 2 verbs. Furi is the root verb, or the ending form is furu, which means to fall like rain, snow, and shimo, the frost, right? Those things fall from the sky. And then tsumoru is a verb that just means to pile up. So fall and pile up. So we go from furu, put it in the soft connective form because that allows us to basically mash verbs together. So furi, to fall, and tsumoru, build up. Now tsumoru is actually in the renyoke. The renyoke, again, the attributive form because we are describing the noun hodo, which means degree or extent. However, it's a really abstract word that can also mean like when or the instance of or as something happens. So, right? So as the sasame yuki, as the fine snow falls, and then we have no, which just means of, so, and then we have toki, time, is a noun. So the time of when, or the time of the degree of the fine snow fell and piled up. And then toki is the time. And then we have the, what is this? The object particle, o. Hete comes from in classical Japanese, the root verb is fu. That's all it is, fu. However, we turn it into its version of the soft connective form, the renyoke, which is the he. It goes from fu, it becomes he. And then we stick this te on the end of it, which makes it a distinct connective form. So it separates it. So it's this thing happened and then something else happened, but this happens first. This happens distinct. It is not like we're mashing together two words. It is we're just saying this happened, and there is a nice distinct cut here between it and the thing that comes next. So I would translate this clause, I guess you could say, as when the fine snow fell and piled up, and omoto to futatabi kaiko shitaru. Okay? Omoto is just again you. To means like with. It means you and I. So, watashi to anata. You and I and you, right? Omoto to futatabi. Once more with you. Yes, okay. Back it up. Futatabi comes from the... It's two parts to it. Futa means two, okay? Tabi means like time, like or like an instant. So like 3 times, 4 times, once, twice, those kinds of things. So futatabi means twice. Or in this case, again, once more. So once more, omoto to with you, kaiko shitaru. Okay, kaiko is a Chinese loan word. Kaiko, this kai means to like meet unexpectedly is what my dictionary told me. And then ko is just another way of saying meet. So to meet unexpectedly and meet. It's a Chinese loan word. The Chinese have a vehement dislike of using single like I guess you could say characters when they're writing or speaking because of the nature of their language, even though a lot of times they technically could get away with it, but because that oftentimes it's like drawing two dots on a graph, right? If you have one dot, you can have a billion different interpretations and it could be all sorts of things. But as soon as you have two sounds, then it's very only likely to be one thing, or that reduces the chances of it being something that you're not intending, and it makes for much more clear communication. So that's why sometimes kanji, especially Chinese loanwords, can be a little redundant, but the redundancy is kind of needed so people don't get things mixed up, okay? So kaiko just means to meet, however, or it means a meeting. This is technically, since it's a Chinese loanword, we can be really flexible with it. It's a noun normally. However, we put this shitaru, which comes from the verb su, which is the general verb to do. However, we put it in the soft connective form, so we can stick this taru on the end of it, which the base form of that, the ending form of that is tari. However, we have taru, which is the attributive form, because we are going to be describing this kono, okay? This kono just means this. However, kono Itegami is his name. However, in this instance, if I were to translate it into English, I would say I Itegami, okay? This Itegami. Literally is what it says. More technically, what it says is ai tegami. So, sasami yuki furitsumoru hodo no toki o hete. So, passing the time when, that's how that would work. So, passing the time when the fine snow fell and piled up, and once more meeting you, I who once more have met you. Moving on. Okay. Banbutsu o eikyū ni. So, banbutsu is a Chinese loan word. Ban comes from man, which just means 10,000 or means myriad, uncountable, so many that you can't even count it. Butsu just means physical things, physical objects. So, banbutsu just means all sorts of things. So sundry things, many things. O, and so the banbutsu is going to be receiving the action of the verb. However, before we get to the verb, we have eikyū ni. So, a means long, and kyū means a long time. This is a Chinese loan word. Long time. So very extensive, like very long time, like extended, crazy long time is basically what this means. Then we have the prepositional particle ni. So for a long time, many things, which is going to be receiving the action of koraseru. This comes from the root verb koru, which means to freeze. Now this is an intransitive thing. So like mizu koru, the water freezes of itself. Nothing freezes the water, it just freezes by itself. However, we don't want it to be in that. We want it to be transitive because Itegami is the one causing the water to freeze. So we go from toru or koru to kora, which is the incomplete form. So we can put the causative su on the end there. However, we have to make this also an attributive form because it is going to be describing a noun that comes after. So korasu goes to korase, which is the not yet done form of that, I think. Koraseru. Yeah. Korasu. Yes. I think, I don't remember. Basically, having this ru on the end of it makes it the attributive form because we are attributing the noun zettai reido. This is a this is an interesting Chinese loanword, okay? Because zettai means absolutely, okay? Zettai ni means absolutely do something, okay? And then re means 0 and do means degree. So like when you're talking in modern Japanese about like how hot it is, you say it's like oh 25 do, 25 degrees. It's 30 do, 30 degrees, right? Not too long ago, I think a couple of weeks ago, it was approaching, everyone was saying, 40度に近い, right? 40度に近い, it's 40 degrees Celsius is what they're talking about, right? And they're freaking out because they're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot, which it's really hot. But anyway, zettai reido means absolute 0 degrees. So absolute 0, right? Which again is not, it's not a concept in ancient Japan. It's not really a concept in ancient Chinese either. But, you know, it works. We know what they're talking about because we live in the modern time where we understand what the concept of absolute 0 is. So just meaning really, really, really cold. Okay, so zettai reido no. This no is of, okay? It's a particle that means of. And then sekai means the world. So the world of absolute 0. So the world of absolute 0 is going to be receiving the action of omae ni is another way of saying to you, before you, okay? You, this is an honorific you. Ni is the to, so to, in, at, by. Ni, sasage tatematsuran. Comes from, this is a combination of two verbs, sasagu, which means to give, and tatematsuru is for an inferior to do for a superior, okay? This is the soft connected form, sasagu becomes sasage, and then tatematsuru means, again, to offer up. Goes from tatematsuru, which is the ending form, to tatematsura, which is the incomplete form, the mizenke, so we can add this volitional on the end of it. It means I do this of my free volition. It's not that I do this to something else unintentionally. It's that I am actively doing this is my will, this is my purpose, okay? So, moving on. And then we have more, because normally that's where this would end, but we have more because this is the final brushstroke deity, okay? Omoto yori morobi deshi warera jusan no bunshin, okay? Omoto yori means from you. Marobi deshi, okay? Marobu, the root verb marobu means to fall out of, to fall out, okay? And then, well, fall, to stumble or to fall. However, you go from marobu, we just turned it into soft connected form, marobi, so we can stick this ideshi. Ideshi means to go out, okay? It comes from the root verb idzu in classical Japanese, modern Japanese, deru, okay? Marobi ideshi, and there's that attributive past tense thing, okay? Marobi ideshi, warera. So marobi deshi, I'll go back. So a thing which, whatever comes next, we don't know what it is technically yet. The thing which fell out of you, okay? Came out of you, fell out of you. Warera, ware means I. Warera means us. Warera, us, ju-san is a Chinese loan word, but it just means 13, no, of bunshin. So this bun means part, separated. So separated, and then this shin means God. However, what's interesting is normally you write bunshin. If you say bunshin in Japanese, right, modern Japanese, it means like a alter ego, a part of, like again, it's not alter ego per se, but it's like how would you say this? It's like a fragment of another person. It's like an alternate version of that person. It's something that is born from you, right? It's like, I'm trying to think of if you have like, okay, this is a really weird reference and doesn't quite work, but if, let's say that in Dragon Ball Z, right, you know, they have the fusions, right? The fusion forms. Now, if we assumed that the fusion was the normal way that this character was, and then they split apart, those two split apart versions would be the bunshin, right? There's got to be another word for it. If you guys can remember what the word for it is, please let me know in the comments. It's like an offshoot, right? An offshoot of another thing. It's another part of, it's a part of that thing. So this is a little play on of words because normally that's written with a different shin that just means bun means separate, and then the normal word that they use, the normal kanji that they use is it means person. It means the body of. So other body, alternate body. However, for here, because they are gods, it's bunshin, it's with this kanji, which means God. So the alternate gods. So omoto yori marobi deshi warera jusan no bunshin. So us 13 gods who fell from you, who came from you. Ima ichido. So ima means now. Ichido is a Chinese loan word that means one time. So now, once more. Omoto no, so your. So omoto means you. Omoto no means your. Moto means presence, space. Omoto ni, to your presence once more. Tsudoi comes from the root verb tsudo, which means to gather. However, we have a soft connective form, which means that we're continuing on with the sentence. Ara yuru akuo. Ara yuru means like all the many kinds, the many different kinds. So the many different kinds of aku is evil. O, okay. O is the, what is that? Is the object particle. Harau chikara o. So harau means to dispel, to get rid of, to sweep away. However, it's in the attributive form because we are describing the noun chikara. So the power to dispel, expel. And then o means that the power to expel is going to be receiving the action, which is sazukem. Okay, sazuku in classical Japanese, modern Japanese sazukeru means to give, to pass on to. Okay. However, we go from sazuku to sazuke, which is incomplete form, which means we can stick the volitional on the end of it, which we have seen before. So volitional, we give you the power to expel all sorts of evil. So to you once more, we congregate, we gather, and give you the power to expel all kinds of evil. Okay, and then Isun Boshi says some stuff. So we're going to go back and just review what he says once more. Okay. Just so we can keep things clear. Okay. O, our compassionate mother, Amaterasu o Mikami. O, warera ga jibo Amaterasu o Mikami. Our great goddess, our compassionate mother, heaven shining. Great goddess, heaven shining. Sorry. Oh, come back. Okay. Omoto ga kakannaku nari tamaeshi toki yori. From the time that you lost your power, your ability, your bravery, your capabilities. Kono reiho mi o yosetsuru o. The I is implied here. In this, I came to this, I brought myself to this magical, this spiritual sancho, mine, mountain summit, right? I was captured by evil beings, and kokoro narazu mo gekai o kegashitari keri. I defiled the world below. I defiled the regular world, the not the profane world, but the secular world, the non-spiritual world, the physical world. Sasame yuki furitsumoru hodo no toki o hete. So passing the time when the fine snow fell and built up. Omoto to futatabi kaikou shitaru. Kono Itegami, I Itegami, who once more have met with you, have come to you. Banbutsu o eikyū ni koraseru zettai reido no sekai o onmai ni sasage tatematsuram. I give you the world of absolute zero that freezes everything in perpetuity, eternally. That I give you the world of absolute zero that freezes everything continually, right? Perpetually, forever. So, omoto yori marobi deshi warera 13 no bunshin. So, us 13 split gods, apart gods, like separate gods, us 13 separate gods that came from you, that fell out of you, honorifically, Ima ichido omoto no moto ni tsudoi, have gathered to your presence once more, arayuru aku o harau chikara o sazukem, and grant you and give to you, pass on to you, the power to expel all kinds of evil. And then Isunboshi is happy because you collected all of the brushstroke techniques. And he goes, oh my gosh, look, something's happening. And then he sounds off the horn, and you get to see all of the brushstroke rods that you've connected, although I find it weird that they don't put it in the actual like order that the story has them in. Because there is actually a story, there's a time period. I can't remember what the order is off the top of my head, but I know that that's not it. And then you get the special Yata no Kagami. Yata no Kagami, by the way, is it comes from the Kojiki. It is a mirror, it's a special mirror that the goddess Amaterasu gives to, I can't remember if it's Jinmu Tenno, so Yata no Kagami o te ni ireta, okay? It's a mythical mirror that the goddess Amaterasu gives to one of her descendants who becomes emperor. And she tells him to treat this mirror and worship it as if it were her herself, okay? The sun goddess herself. Yata comes from ya ata. Ya means 8. Ata is a measurement of length. So yata no kagami. Kagami means mirror. So the mirror of 8, whatever these lengths are. So it was a fairly large mirror, I guess you could think. And so it's very appropriate that after you get all of the brushstroke techniques, all the brushstroke gods, which are technically like different offshoots of Amaterasu, when you collect those again and you become at full power, you get the Yata no Kagami, the most important like item associated with Amaterasu in traditional Japanese myth. Okay, so that one was a little bit confusing and a little bit more rambly than is typical, but it is a little bit longer, and I wanted to get through it as soon as possible so that way the editing process wouldn't take so long and I could get this video out to you guys a little bit sooner with as little headache as possible. So, if you did find that informative, please don't forget to like the video, please subscribe to the channel, because although this is the final Okami video that I'm going to be doing, at least until the sequel comes out, there are other games with very interesting tidbits of classical Japanese in them. There are lots of other games where we can describe and discuss and explain the classical Japanese culture in them and whatnot. So this is definitely, while this is the last Okami video, it's not the last video of this type. So again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments, or if you see that I got something wrong, which does happen quite a lot, please don't be afraid to point that out to me, because I'm definitely not a credentialed expert. I'm just a nerd here who gets things wrong. Anyway, with all of that being said, I am going to end it here. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you later. Goodbye.